Sorry the lighting isn't great, but to be honest, it's not the most important thing. As long as my voice is audible, that's the most important thing for this video, because I'm quite angry anyway. Um, I've just been reading about yet another reality TV show, which is intended to sort of bait the poor against the poor. The article's quite lengthy, so I'm not going to read the whole thing out, but basically I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction. Surprisingly, this time it's actually from the BBC. I say surprisingly because usually this trash is on other networks, but this time it's the BBC. To pit, though paid against each other in Hunger Games style show to find Britain's hardest grafter. The BBC will make the unemployed and low-paid workers compete against each other for a cash prize in a controversial Hunger Games type show to find Britain's hardest grafter. Only the UK's lowest paid workers will be invited to compete to show their worth in the reality show, capitalising on the trend for poverty porn established by the Channel 4 series Benefit Street. Applications for Britain's Hardest Grafter, which will be screened on BBC Two, are limited to those currently earning less than 15,500 per year. Twitter reacts angrily to news of new poverty porn show. The BBC is seeking 25 British workers, a mix of the unemployed, the underemployed and those earning the minimum wage, who will be given the opportunity to prove themselves through a series of challenges. A cash prize is an offer for the winner. A representative of the production company 2020 told the website Graduate Fog, in each episode, people will be put to the test in a series of challenges and tasks. At the end of each episode, those who have produced the least will be eliminated, and by the end of the process, just one worker will remain. The winner will receive in the region of 15,000, which is the year's living wage outside London. Um, and then their advertisement states, we are looking for people to take part in a new BBC Two competitive series looking for Britain's hardest grafter. We'll be investigating what affects people in the workplace. We want people who feel passionately about the issues in the UK today. Have you been in and out of work since leaving school? Are you sick of living off your parents? Are you losing out on jobs because you've got no experience? Have you got a degree but no graduate job? Whatever the issue, taking part in this project will give you the opportunity to prove your abilities through a series of challenges and potentially walk away with a cash prize. Um, okay, this really pisses me off, and I'm going to try and explain why without simply ranting. But it does make me very angry, and clearly I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people out there who can see why this is complete trash. Um, Now, no doubt the producers will say they're doing something positive by giving people an opportunity to earn money. But the fact is, there's only one winner, so only now that means that the other 24 applicants are going to see a penny, right? So these people are going to be invited to take part in this pornography porn, which is essentially what it is. The show will absolutely be marketed as entertainment. I guarantee you that. And it will be used to basically expose people who are struggling and try to humiliate them and try to goad them against each other. Now, firstly, no one is going to act normally in those circumstances if they've got cameras on them 24 hours a day. It's not the same as simply applying for a job, on your computer or online. The fact that potentially millions of people are watching, hopefully it won't see anything like those figures, but other trash TV shows like Jeremy Kyle and Benefit Street get a lot of attention. I think it's cowardly. I think it is utterly reprehensible that these slimy producers, and I have no respect for them, no respect whatsoever. And frankly, if I had one sitting in front of me now, I would give him a piece of my mind, because this is absolutely the last thing this country needs. I often smoke just when I'm pissed off, and I'm very pissed off. They gave some numbers there, and I'm going to give you the numbers. If you agree with me, contact them, let them know how you feel. This is the number to call: 0207 424 7735. and you can text 07876 210 699. I was going to call the number and run at them, um, but I thought I better not do that because I don't pay the phone bills here, so it wouldn't be it would be someone else's bill. But the point is, I really wanted to vent my frustration. I have sent them a text. It was a very blunt text. This is what I've written. I hope someone receives it. Basically, the text says, the last thing this country needs is another sick show with sick producers baiting the poor against each other. Utterly reprehensible. Shame on you. But it's not going to make any difference. It's not going to scrap the show, but I want them to know. Hopefully, lots of other people will be doing the same thing. There was a lot of controversy around Benefit Street because it was a lot of residents felt it gave the area a bad reputation, and it's what this new phenomenon of poverty porn, i.e., taking social problems of society and turning it into some sort of entertainment. I don't think the producers give a damn about helping people. I really believe that. They don't care about helping people. What they're trying to do is goad people against each other. I mean, I don't know what these so-called challenges will consist of. It sounds to me very much like the ordeal that claimants have to go through in the job centre of back to work forced labour and then turning it into TV entertainment. And anyone who justifies this, shame on you. Shame on you. You're going to say it's a freedom of speech issue. I strongly disagree with that. Freedom of speech is having an opinion on something. This is an actual event. It is an activity. It is using people in this situation um, against each other. Now, it'll be the usual old excuses, oh, well, they're going on of their own accord. But the fact of the matter is, 24 of them are not going to get the money. And what are they going to get from it? They're not going to be treated with respect. The producer's going to be trying to goad them to probably fight with each other. And, you know, uh, these are the sort of people who have no soul and no conscience. And I think these sort of producers are the lowest of the low. I see them in the same category as tabloid editors. And I believe tabloid editors are the absolute pond life of humanity, for want of a better term. Okay? I'm not making any attempt here to be diplomatic because I've contempt for them. I have utter deep contempt for what these people do. And the same old worn out excuses just don't bear up. Now, no doubt they will justify it and say, oh, but look at our viewing figures. But that highlights my point. In ancient Rome, and granted, this is not, it's not the same thing, but in ancient Rome, gladiatorial contests were popular. Public executions were popular in this country. Just because something's popular doesn't give it moral credibility. It just doesn't. And this is a very Orwellian sort of situation. In fact, a better word would perhaps be dystopian. This is dystopian. Dystopian. It's sinister, quite honestly, because where do they draw the line? I mean, you may think, but on the surface, this sounds innocent enough. Oh, it's just a competition. But when you evaluate this a little bit, consider the details. Consider the fact that these are marginalized people, the lowest paid people in the country, right? Or in some cases, unemployed. Um, I don't know if the show's open to claimants or not. But the idea that there is any positive agenda here whatsoever, please don't feel there is. Please don't kid yourself and think the producers give a damn. Because in the end of the day, only one of them is going to win a meager amount of money in terms of what it's intended to be. And I don't know what these so-called tasks are going to involve. Big Brother was bad enough, but this is Big Brother now to fit the Tory agenda. And it's utterly shameful the BBC would do this. I hope they get a lot of angry letters. I hope they get a lot of angry phone calls because if enough people complain, they will have to take some action. Um, this is not about free speech. So that's, in case anyone says, oh, you can't silence this. This is not about an opinion, right? This is not about someone saying, I think the unemployed should do this or whatever. People can have debates about that. But this is not the issue. This is an event, okay? We're talking here about the verb context, not the adjective context. And it's I mean, if you are unemployed, if you are poor, if you are, well, if you fit into the sort of category, and I do, incidentally, I would fit right into this. I work part time. I make barely enough money to get by. I could apply for this if I wanted to. I'm not going to. Now, I'm not going to tell anyone else what to do. All I would say is, if you are in this position, please, I'm asking you as a fellow citizen. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just urging you, consider this very carefully, because they're not going to give a shit about your welfare on the show. They're going to humiliate you. They're going to try and get you to uh, be unpleasant to your fellow guests or the fellow stars, whatever you want to call it. Um, I am convinced these producers have no soul. I don't think there is any positive agenda whatsoever. The purpose of this show and shows like it is to titillate snobby members of the public, um, to sort of, well, not even snobby, but people who think that they're good because they have a job. So it's for them to say, "Oh, let's watch the lazy unemployed fight with each other." That's what it's about. Let's face it, that is what it is about, and it goes straight into the hands of this vindictive, nasty Tory government. And that I think this might be. I'm not one to come up with conspiracy theories, but the BBC is long accused of being left wing, has been accused of being left wing. This might be their sort of way of showing, oh, look, we're attacking the unemployed, so we're not left wing. Um, it's they probably recognise that in this country, the Murdoch media, for the most part, calls the shots. The BBC is powerful, but just like political parties, it has to adapt. Now, unfortunately, the adaptation in this context is this sort of cowardly populism of bashing those who can't defend themselves. Now, people will say, oh, well, no one's forcing them to go on. But that isn't the point. The point is that such a concept would exist in the first place. I'm aware that no one is forcing these people to go on. But, this is fraud. They're going to convince these people that there's something in it for them. The majority of them will leave not just disappointed, you could say that about any competition, and there's some competitions out there that are relatively healthy. So just to be clear, I don't have a problem with the nature of a competitive show, but I do have a problem with a show that is exploiting the poorest in society and is clearly designed to stir up the public against them. That's what Benefit Street was about. And that is exactly what this will be about. It's intended to get their viewers to say, oh, look at how these shameless unemployed. Let's see if any of them really want to work hard. And then it's intended to shame those who don't, or who are perceived not to. But my argument is no one can act normally in these circumstances. I'm sure there will be people who go on the show thinking it will improve their life. And I would be shocked if they came out and said, oh, this has made me much better. Um, I really would be surprised. Benefit Street got a very strong backlash. So this just proves the BBC doesn't give a damn what people think. It's become this arrogant, giant monolith of an organisation. They have a complaint system in place, but how much do they listen to? That's debatable. Um, The people who defend this are people who, I guarantee you, just want to see the unemployed bash each other, and who just want to. The sort of people who will watch this show are the same sort of people who watch Jeremy Kyle, shallow, vacuous morons who think that they themselves are role model citizens, when in actual fact they spend their time watching other people, um, duke it out with their personal problems. And the idea of this actually turns my stomach. We'll rant over. There's not much more I can say. I'll put the link to the articles from the independent newspaper below this. But it's shameful it's the BBC that's doing it. Channel 4 wouldn't surprise me. Channel 5 wouldn't surprise me. Sky certainly wouldn't surprise me. But it's actually the BBC this time. Um, if I'm going to call them at some point when I get more credit on my phone, because I think they need to know just how controversial this is. I just don't. And one more thing, this is very important actually, and I will make this my closing point. There are people out there who say, "Oh, if you don't like it, don't watch it," and TV is harmless. If you really believe that, you're profoundly naive. This sort of television is not harmless. It's not. Not at a time when this country is deeply divided, not at a time when millions of people are struggling, not at a time when thousands of people are relying on food banks. Um, this is not a trivial matter. And you can't just say, oh, it's just a program, forget it. TV is a very powerful thing. It influences people's thinking. So I utterly reject the idea that it is harmless. I mean, why is it that so many people in this country have the negative attitudes to the unemployed that they do? Okay, in some cases they might know someone from personal experience, but I suspect a lot of it is from trash TV like this. And all I can say is shame on the producer, because he or she will be lining their pockets on the back of this. And I think that's utterly reprehensible. And shame on the BBC for giving them a platform.